I'm a voracious reader. Often, every single week, I'm reading between 1 and 3 books, both ebooks and physical books. The holiday season is coming up in a few months, and people are going to be looking for that gift to buy that special someone. If you're thinking about buying a book, I have a top 5 reading list here of my favorite books that came out during the last few months. And without further ado, let's look at Michael's top 5 ebooks of the summer. This is a fiction title called The Game by Anders de la Motte. It's an indie writer, and it features a young anti-hero with not a lot of job prospects, not a lot of things going for him in life, until he finds a phone on a subway. And this phone actually places him into a game where a voice on the other end gives him tasks to do, each one more dastardly than the next, and other people are playing the same game. There's a high score list, and we're sort of yanked into an adventure where we sort of get this augmented reality type game that's all too real. Second favorite book of the summertime is Haunted Empire: Life After Steve Jobs, and this is a book that basically talks about what, now that Apple has had a few years since Steve Jobs has died under CEO Tim Cook, could Apple remain relevant culturally and hardware-wise without their iconic leader? This book has interviewed over 200 interviews with current and former executives, business partners, Apple watchers, and others. It's an illuminating portrait of Apple today that offered clues to the futures. Probably my favorite book of the summer is California by Eden Lupecki. And this is her debut novel, and it imagines a very frighteningly realistic near future in which clashes between mankind's dark nature and irrepressible resilient force. It gives us a question on how far we'll go to protect our loved ones. The thing I really liked about it is that I'm a huge fan of the post-apocalyptic genre, and in this book it doesn't really talk about how the decline of civilization actually happened. It just talks about how two people are dealing with this situation. The Everything Store, Jeff Bezos and the Age of Amazon by Brad Stone was another one of my favorite books. It really gives you a great introspective on how Amazon first started, how was the idea of it originally conceptualized, how did we get from it just being an e-commerce startup until it being the most dominant force in e-commerce today. This guy has basically interviewed everyone, including Jeff Bezos himself and everybody close to him. It gives us an introspective on how management meetings are conducted, how new devices are thought about, talks all about Lab 126, which is their stealth research and development house, where all of their hardware they've ever done is developed there. And it even talks about Bezos' family members and gives us a really good perspective on exactly who he is and how he compares to Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and Zuckerberg. The final book is I Wear the Black Hat, and this is a book that talks about America's infatuation with villains. And a lot of people grow up, for instance, liking Star Wars, and you like the roguish Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, but as you get older, you get kind of attracted to Darth Vader. And this book is really great because it just talks about how the older you get, the more infatuated you get with villains and villainous behavior. And he draws an interesting parallel that the only type of original characters that America develops these days are villains and anti-heroes. So that's my top 5 list of the summer, and perhaps you could use one of these books as a gift for the holiday season. Thanks for listening. It's Michael from GoodEReader.com.